All right, how's it, everybody? It is 5 p.m. West Coast time, 2 p.m. Hawaii time, and 8 p.m. on the East Coast. I am Mad Statter, and this is Chatter with Statter. Today, we're going to be talking about all sorts of things that don't matter. So, let's kick back, let's relax, let's get this party started. All right, excelente. Let's make sure I am not muted in two places. Thumbs up. Let's see. It looks like we've got background music. Thumbs up. Awesome. All right, then. All sorts of folks coming on in. Shock saying aloha y'all. E-Music, good to see you. Thank you so much for hopping in today. Mariana, hello everyone. All righty. I got music. I got people. We got ourselves a stream today. E-Music, I knew exactly what you meant. Even though it said fearful, I knew you meant fearless. That's okay. We're just trying to trick the cosmos with our words, but I knew what you were talking about. By the way, I want to thank you so much for the cutest honey bear ever. And I want to thank you for super awesome Ni'ihau. Oh, hold on. Let's see if we can get a good Ni'ihau shells. And let's see. Well, all of the things. I got your thing. I haven't looked through the visitor's guide yet, or the two visitors guides. I haven't looked through those yet. But yeehaw. So, Shock, oh no, are we getting dropped frames? Because I have 0% dropped frames. Are we not doing good? Have I got technical menahoonies and I don't realize it? Because my square is green. Wait, no, my square is green and my drop frames are 0, I thought. Oh well. Live and learn. What I do know though, oh, okay, same menahoonies, just stuttering. Well, what I do know is I am broadcasting from 720, but we do have the gear. So perhaps people need to fiddle-faddle with their little gear. Technical menahoonies. What do I do to feed you and keep hanging around. Gall dang it. You're at 160 shock and still stuttering. But JBCP13 says it's all good, and Mariana says it's all good. So I'm gonna assume that it's a personal problem, Shock. That sounds so awful, but that's just how I'm gonna have to hope it right now, because I don't know how to fix it. I don't know how to fix. But okay, so I don't know if you guys were here on the last stream, but the last stream we were talking about a lot of stuff that doesn't really matter, but one of the things we were talking about was blue food, and we got a little sidetracked onto blue ketchup. And hold on one second, it looks like Pacola T is coming in for a quick hello and a quick goodbye. Got a hard to find appointment soon. Have a great day, everyone, and boo to the bots and Menahoonies. I like what you're saying, Pacola T, and thank you so much for hanging out. And super stoked you actually got the hard to find appointment. So you go do it. Go get the thing done at the optometrist, because I'm sure it's an optometrist that you're going to, right? For those who don't know, optometrist is Pacola T and my code word for the bar. And I'm sure she's not going to the bar, but I just thought I'd river. Oh, good though, you are here and you want to hear about the blue pineapple. So check this out, Pacola T. I couldn't find anything about the blue pineapple. The only thing I could find out is blue curacao, which is actually an orange liqueur, is in a lot of pineapple drinks. Blue Hawaiian and Blue Hawaii being the two most common. By the way, Blue Hawaiian and Blue Hawaii, two very, very different drinks. I had no idea. So, Pacola T, I want to continue to go down this rabbit hole, but I need to know, like, do you have a drink in mind or several drinks in mind that are pineapple drinks that are blue, so I can go research the history of that? Because I'm just not sure. My Google searches were not coming up with what I wanted them to come up with. I couldn't find the rabbit hole to go down, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But we talked about blue ketchup, and we talked about blue tomatoes, and I found a picture of some blue tomatoes, and these are what blue tomatoes actually look like. So you can see on the outside, they're quote unquote blue, but on the inside, they're still red. So that says to me, we hypothesized that blue tomatoes could give us blue ketchup. But it won't. Oh, Pacola T, so you're saying shave ice places use blue syrup for pineapple? Okay, see, now I didn't go down that rabbit hole. All right. Because honestly, I was kind of, hold on, I can't find my pencil. Hold on. Got my pencil. Okay. Because seriously, I was, I'm writing this down. Because all I could find was stuff with the blue curacao cocktail type drinks, etc. That was all my Google searches were coming up. I didn't go the shave ice flavored syrup route. So now I know maybe where to find that rabbit hole. So on Sunday, perhaps I will have better answers for you in regards to that, because even though you're the one that's quote unquote curious about it, I am too. Now I am too, because I didn't ever think of blue syrup as pineapple. To me, in my world, blue flavored syrup is always blue raspberry, and I would show a picture of blue raspberry stuff, except for I erased them off of my system right now, so it wouldn't take up all the rooms on my buttons. See, because I'm working on buttons today. Hold on, let's see. See, I've got all of the buttons, and so I only have so many buttons, so I took the blue raspberry pictures off of my buttons. Yeah, and they are good-looking tomatoes for sure. And apparently blue tomatoes have a higher ratio of stuff that's good. It's I want to call it, like, I don't know if it's the lycopene or if it's some other kind of some chemical that is really that tomatoes have. The blue ones have more of it. So they're like more better, gooder for you. That's right. A doctor told me that personally. They're more better, gooder for you. I'm quoting the doctor. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. More better, gooder for you is what the tomatoes are, apparently, though. And Picola T, you can understand that yellow is already used for banana, for sure. But you don't get why not green or something for pineapple. And then Mariana's coming in. Green is usually used for watermelon, sometimes, or green apple. Well, and shave ice green, I mean, depending on the color of the green, it's oftentimes lime. So, you know, there's that. And yeah, I really want some shave ice right now too. I'm totally right there with you. Gosh, you know, so, okay, so now, okay. Okay, now, so, the shave ice place, it's been so long since I've been to a shave ice place, I cannot remember. The shave ice places then, they must, if they use blue for pineapple, they must not use blue for raspberry, right? And then Mariana's saying, I think creamy yellow color would make sense for pineapple. You've seen popsicles that color for pineapple. Oh, hey, Glenn Paul. Good to see you. Good to see you. We're still talking a little bit about blue flavoring, but we're actually talking about pineapples right now. We'll be moving off of that topic eventually, but we're wrapping this one up from last stream. And see, I would think that the creamy yellow color, Mariana, would be better for banana flavor, personally. And then a darker golden yellow would be more better for pineapple. But I also know that like a lot of like Lifesavers and gummy bears, they oftentimes just use clear as the pineapple flavor. And so so I'm wondering if like why don't they just make it like a clear white like why does it have to even be a color? Yeah, and so eMusic, there are recipes online for the shave ice syrups. Okay, well, I'm definitely going to be seeing that, but I can only assume that the homemade recipes for shave ice syrups might not have as many food dyes as the ones that are used in the shops, but I really don't know what I'm talking about. And I know that some shops actually do create their own syrups, so okay. I have a new rabbit hole to go down, and it's all about shave ice and their syrups. We're not going to talk about the details today because I have no idea what I'm talking about, but I think we know what a topic might be for the next Chatter with Statter, where the topics can scatter. So let's see here. What was it that I was going to do today? Oh, yes, I remember now. It is Wednesday. And so Wednesday is our Whale Topic Wednesday, right? So I've got a couple little things to show you. I have to say this stream is going to be a little bit heavy on some videos. I am feeling a little under the weather, as it were, so I'm going to show you a couple different videos here. One of them, the first one I'm going to show you, is J-Pod, which is a Southern resident pod for the Puget Sound, the Salish Sea orcas. They are a pod that is, I think they're the medium-sized pod. K-Pod's the smallest. I believe L-Pod is the largest, so that leaves J-Pod as the middle. And they were up very close to shore last week, putting on a show for folks. And so I thought I would share with you this little video, and hopefully this works. Oops, I didn't realize that was on a loop. So, all right, Pecola T, take care. Have a good time. Have as good of a time at the appointment that you're going through that you possibly can. So glad you showed face today. And you are right. I will be doing some shave ice research when I'm on Oahu next week. And Shakalak, thank you so much for letting us know about Andy. I did not realize he was going to take the whole month of June off, but that kind of makes sense. And unfortunately, I have been wondering if Andy actually did get the COVID like he was suspicious of yesterday, and it sounds as though he might have gotten that positive test and negative experience of being sick with that. So that is super bumming, because I was going to actually meet with Andy when I was on the islands this coming next June 8th is when I'll be hitting Oahu, and so I was absolutely hoping to hang out with Andy while I was there. Andy and I had been planning on doing some video shoots together, and this, that, and the other thing, but obviously all of that is thrown out the window. I'm very disappointed about that, but I don't care. What I care about is that Andy got sick. I'm very concerned about that. I hope that all of the booster shots, all of the vaccines, all of everything make it a mild case for his whole house, his wife, himself. I believe one of his children lives with him. So basically, I hope the whole house just gets a very mild and quick case. Super, super disappointed that we're not going to hook up, but I'm more concerned about the health and well-being of the folks who are infected. And JBCP 13 over the fence from a distance. Well, you know, I'm open to that. And hopefully by the time the illness runs the course and by the time the end of my trip happens, there might be a window of opportunity to just be like, hey, here's a gift I got for you. And I'll like run and leave it in the middle of his front yard. And then I'll run behind the fence onto the street. And then he'll come out of the house and pick, you know, after the air clears, and then he can pick it up and we can wave to each other from far away or something. You know, I'm hoping for something like that, but that absolutely is in the imaginary pretend zone right now. There's no real, you know, obviously we don't know how quick and easy this illness will pass, how quick and easy the contagion will pass through, etc. I don't know. So we're probably not going to. So unfortunately, Andy and I are probably not going to meet up, but that leaves me more time to do shave ice research, right? Right. So Shock is saying his members only video seemed only a little like he was only a little bit under the weather, less than yesterday, but he didn't say anything but his family situation and some show tweaks. I'm not quite. I haven't seen that video, so I don't know what you're talking about. Oh, dang it! I didn't get notification of that video. All right then. So back to. So we got a little scattered there for a minute, talking about the coronavirus, the COVID, the Kona. There we go. We'll call it the Kona. It starts with a C, not a K. So going backwards now, Mariana, orcas are your favorite animals. That is super awesome. And check this out then. I hope that you have time to hang out for this quick little story and video that will be accompanying it. So back in 2002. Actually, let me start over. So, most of the whales that we talk about, including the one in the video that I just showed, are orcas from the southern resident population in the Salish Sea. The southern residents basically go from northern California to southern Alaska. And then Vancouver, British Columbia, Vancouver Island, the Salish Sea, Washington, and then Pacific Ocean, Oregon, and Washington. Those are the southern residents. But there is also, as their name implies, northern residents. And northern residents hang out almost exclusively in Alaskan waters. Northern residents, for the most part, never come into the Puget Sound. Ever. Ever. So, in 2002... there was this very young, like 2-year-old, and in orca's terms, that's pretty young. Basically what they realized was most likely an orphaned orca that was hanging out in the Puget Sound. And none of the local orcas were missing an orca. She didn't look like anything that the whale watchers were used to seeing for the area. I mean, obviously she's an orca, but with the orcas, and yes, you're right, JBCP13 calf is the word I'm looking for. So yeah, it was an orca calf. Little bit, probably more like a toddler than a calf type thing, you know, but either way, a little kid in whale terms. And the locals, the local whale watchers were like, no, this is not, she is not a part of any of the pods here. So they recorded her calls and sent them up to the northern resident researchers to say, hey, you know, are you guys missing a calf? Are you guys, you know, and do these calls sound like the dialect that your pods speak? Because each pod does have like their own dialects. So they eventually were able to figure out, yes, this is one of our own. We thought she died. We thought that her and her mom over the winter had died, and because they didn't come back to the northern waters. So the southern resident watchers and the scientists were like, no, dude, she's not dead. She's down here. So then they had to figure out how to get her from down here to up there. So huge amounts of agencies between Canada and the United States, nonprofits, etc., worked together to create, to basically capture her down here and keep her in a pen in the Puget Sound so they could observe her, make sure she wasn't sick and wasn't going to bring diseases back up to her pod. She had a couple parasites. She was kind of underfed, not at all surprising considering she was lost. Orcas generally hunt together and not singularly, and so her being underfed was totally normal. So anyway, they fed her a bunch of salmon, they gave her some antibiotics, etc., etc. They eventually were able to bring her back up to the northern waters. They put her in a pen there, and within 2 days, her pod found her again. So they released her, and she joined them back, her family. It had been like almost a year. She joined back with her family. Her name is Springer, and she's now actually the mother of at least 2 calves, but they think that that she's pregnant right now with her third. And Mariana, you often watch live streams of the Northern Resident Pods. There are 24-hour live streams for them. Awesome. I didn't know that. I'm going to have to look into that. Because the Southern residents are in my waters, the waters that I live near, I know way more about the Southern residents than I do about the Northern residents. So you're actually, it sounds like, probably 8 steps ahead of me in regards to the Northern residents. So check this out. All right, so they have a video on this. It's about an hour and a half long. And eMusic, you're crying, but you're the one who sent me this flippin' link. And you're the one, by the way, eMusic is the one who brought this story to my attention. I watched the video, and honestly, you guys, I really, really, really encourage you to watch the entire video where they tell the entire story that I just basically told you, but in much greater detail. There's actually a book written about it. But basically, though, in this YouTube video, there's a section at the end where they talk about all the things that we've kind of been talking about on this stream in regards to, can you reintroduce an orca back to its pod? Because, as I've mentioned, a lot of the Southern residents were captured back in the 70s and put into aquariums, and it's really a virtual unknown in regards to whether or not reintroduction is even possible for those. So So anyway, I want to show you this video. It's about 6 or 7 minutes long. It's nothing flashy. It's nothing. It's more educational than anything, but it does talk a little bit about the Southern residents, and it basically touches on some topics that we've already talked about here on Chatter with Statter. And so I wanted to share it with you. I want to thank eMusic for sharing it with me. And on the video, I have superimposed the YouTube title of the video and then its link. The link is not hot on the video, but if you do a YouTube search with the title that is overlaid on that video, you will be able to find it. It's about an hour and a half long. Anyway, enough of that. Let's play the video.
So I'm going to hand it back to Donna now to talk about some of the lessons that the broader lessons I think that we've learned from our experience with Springer.
Thank you. So we've turned a very big story. We've told a very big story in a very short time. But I think for all of us, this was a life-changing experience, everyone who was a part of it. And some of the lessons that I took from it personally, and I think that some of us share as well. What did we learn from the project? First of all, that orcas can go home again. This was historical. This has never happened in history, that an orca has been successfully rehabilitated and reunited with its pod. So it was an open question whether her pod would remember her, whether she could rejoin them. And now we know the answer to that question. Yes, they can. I can't say enough about this, because to get the whale home, we had to learn how to work together in new ways. Nonprofits with each other. We had a fundraising group that raised for one single whale. We weren't raising for our own organizations. In fact, we had a clause that none of the money we raised would go to any of our organizations. It all went to Springer. We worked with the government in a new way. The NOAA Fisheries had never worked with a coalition of nonprofits like this. We were basically inventing our way out of a box that none of us had been in before. And the expert team, NOAA, DFO, and the Vancouver Aquarium brought together the world-class experts. They followed the science. And I don't want to say it was always easy. We are human beings, and when we try to work together, it's never easy. But we did have a shared vision. We wanted Springer to be returned with her family. We all shared that vision, we shared that goal, and every decision that everyone made was to create that future for Springer. For me, one of the most important lessons is that we can learn from our mistakes. 50 years ago, we were capturing orcas here in Seattle, around Puget Sound. We were taking calves from their mothers and sending to aquariums where most of them died within the first year. So the fact that 50 years later, 2 countries and all these people work together to return a single whale to her pod is, for me, a function of 2 things. How much we learned about orcas in that time, how important their families are, how far they swim in a day, 70 to 100 miles a day, and most important, how important their families are, and how to tell them apart. None of that was known when the captures were going on here. All that body of knowledge developed over that next time, and we used that knowledge to find out who Springer was, where she belonged, and that it was worth sending her home. So it's not that we don't make mistakes, but it's that we can learn from them. The relationships that formed are very real. NOAA Fisheries and Department of Fisheries and Oceans work together in official capacities in things like creating oil spill responses and understanding how to bring back salmon, and how to have a response if there was another stranded whale. And the whale trail, I'm proud to tell you, is a definite outgrowth. It's part of Springer's legacy. While Springer was safely home and thriving, as you probably are all aware, the southern residents became endangered, and in 2005 were listed as endangered. So it seemed to me we had done this thing for a single whale, now using the same commitment and having the same shared vision of success, we could turn it around for the southern residents. So we founded the Whale Trail in 2008 with a team of partners, including NOAA Fisheries, with the idea of identifying places you could watch whales from shore. Most importantly, just telling the story, letting people to know where the orcas live. People think the southern residents have a cabin on San Juan Island and then go away. Not so. This whole area is important to them. The whole of Puget Sound chum salmon is very important to the southern residents. Their range goes as far south as Monterey. Anyway, we started with the idea of marking these locations from throughout the southern resident orca range. Now we're well beyond that. We stretch from Dana Point to Prince Rupert, BC. And thanks to a partnership with Lance, the Whale Trail extended into BC in 2015. And BC Ferries is adding 3 new sites as we speak. So Springer really brought us together. As I near the end here, I knew this was a good story from the first weekend I came home after Spring and Go Home. I wanted to write this book that whole time. The story got better. It took a while to write it, but the story got better with her calves and everything. I wanted to write this story not just to look nostalgically back and say this cool thing happened, although that's important and it's a good thing to do. But more importantly, I want you, especially the young people in this room, to feel inspired and empowered that when you step up to the plate, when we as humans put our best selves forward, nature can heal. Nature responded. Springer's family coming back was nothing, and coming to pick her up so soon was nothing anyone would have predicted. The fact that she has 2 calves today and expecting a third is better than we ever would have dreamed. And I'm convinced that is the way forward, working together. So today we have another role to play together, which is saving the southern residents. We need to bring back salmon, reduce toxins, and quiet the seas so the whales can hunt the salmon that they need. And in this, we all have a role to play, whether in everyday actions, what we put down our drains, whether we drive or walk to school, government actions, policies that we can encourage our government to take, and watching the whales from shore, giving them the space they need to find the food they need. One last little anecdote. This is Springer right in front of Alert Bay, taken in 2020 by Jared Towers, a researcher up there. And he told me that on this same day, he saw Springer playing with Spirit, her eldest daughter, tossing a stick back and forth. So we have a lot of serious work to do, but we can never lose our sense of play and zest because the orcas haven't.
Okay, so oops, hold on, gotta do some things and stuff. There we go. So because you guys didn't get to see the whole video, the very last bit where the speaker speaks of Springer and one of her offspring playing with a stick, that actually is super cute because that is one thing they noticed about this whale when she was a lost calf in the Puget Sound, was she really had an affinity for sticks. She loved to play with them and toss them around and roll them around with her fins. And so they actually used, when they were trying to lure her close to the ships so they could get her into the pen and do the medical tests, they lured her with sticks. They basically went fishing for the whale with sticks because they knew that she loved sticks. And so as long as there was a stick right by the boat, she basically had no fear, and because she just wanted the stick. And so as you know, this little 2-year-old orca calf loves to play with her sticks. Well, obviously she maintained that same trait her entire life. Now she's 20 some odd years old and playing with sticks with her own offspring. So there you go. That was the little nifty thing with the little with the stick. And yeah, exactly. Nobody told Springer she could put her eye out. Exactly. But the propellers and the sonar definitely bother the marine life, not just the mammals like the orcas, but they hypothesize it affects all of the marine life. And So these are things we need to take into consideration. Obviously we know that the whales need food. And obviously we know that pollution is not good for anything that's in the water. But then we also need to, recognize there are other factors that cause demise of ideal habitat, and the noise is a factor. And so let's see here. Milo met a coyote female yesterday, and they were all curled up until you walked up. That's so cute. That is so very cute. Now, I don't know who Milo is. If Milo is your little dog, I think he is, but I like that Milo can make friends with his wild friends. He's got friends from the wrong side of the bush. He has friends in the yard and outside of the yard. He's a good guy. There we go. So that was our little Whale Wednesday information packet. One more thing, actually, about whales today. Last Wednesday, when I showed you, if you were here, we got to see a video of some whales very close to the shore, probably in like 5 feet or less of water. And there was a dog on the shore barking along with the whales. And, and some of you were like, is that dog in danger? And I said, gosh, I hadn't thought about that. If those are transient whales, he kind of is. If those are resident whales, he's kind of not. Transient whales eat marine mammals like seals and otters. And maybe a dog, right? I don't know. Whereas residents only eat fish. Well, as it turns out, yeah, those whales were transients. Those whales absolutely were the kind that eat marine mammals. So I am so glad that video ended up being a happy video instead of something that was a traumatic video. Of course, if it was a traumatic video, it probably never would have made it to the internet, but still, really glad that that the dog was able to bark another day, shall we speak. So let's see here. Okay, so Milo is your 65-pound beagle bull. Okay, so no wonder Milo is able to be comfortable around a coyote. They're about the same weight. Got it. And David Suzuki says salmon farming is bad for the environment. I'm not going to get into the details of that in regards to that umbrella statement. I will say this. There are Atlantic salmon farms in Pacific waters, and that is absolutely devastating to the native salmon habitat and the native salmon that we're trying to bring back to the Puget Sound. So in regards to across the board salmon farming is harmful, I cannot say, but I can say that Atlantic salmon farming, nobody farms Pacific salmon. It's Atlantic salmon that they farm, right? And Atlantic salmon farming in Puget Sound waters needs to stop. It is dangerous. It is dangerous. Salmon farming, fish farming in general, the fish have a higher rate of infections and diseases. The genetics between the salmon population of the Atlantic salmon and the Pacific salmon, we don't want those genetics to be mixing. It's an abhorrent idea that Atlantic salmon are being farmed in Puget Sound waters, and a lot of local fishermen are against it. Local activists are against it. The native tribes are against it. It's just a bad idea. Like I said, I'm not going to say that it's not a good thing across the board, but in circumstances that we find ourselves in the Puget Sound, it is not okay. Absolutely not okay. And yeah, Mariana, see, the problem is sometimes what happens is they you didn't know that fish farming was a problem. You don't know anything about it. Yeah, see, what happens is they keep the farmed fish in these aqua nets, fish pens. But the problem is the number of, the amount of fish per liter of water is much higher than in a natural environment. So, it's like being in a crowded concert hall. things are more contagious. You're more likely to get, injured or catch something, right? And then if you've got a fish that is sick with something that happens to escape the net, because nets get torn and broken and fish get out of the farm, it can spread to the local population. And it's just, and that's the simplified version of it. It's just not, Atlantic salmon don't belong in Pacific waters. Period. End of story. Period. End of story. And e-music, same awfulness for shrimp farms. Yeah, aquaculture is a very difficult thing to do properly. It can be very destructive to native species and actually the species that you're trying to farm itself. They just sort of, end up being grown in less than ideal circumstances. Now, I'm not saying that all farmed fish is like that at all, but I am saying you don't really know where your farmed fish came from. And did it come from one of those gross farms, or did it come from a more sustainable farm? So let's see here. Mariana's saying, you see many videos on YouTube of dogs playing with the whales off the side of boats. It'd be scary for your dog to be swimming with them. Yeah, well, like I said, it kind of just all depends on which kind of whale it is, right? I mean, if it's the kind that only eat fish, no big deal. If it's the kind that eat, penguins and otters and seals, I don't know. I have to wonder, is that something? Does the dog look enough like an otter to make that whale go yum, right? And let's see here, JBCP13 reminds you of Florida gators. They ate half of the dogs. I don't know if this is true, but I feel like my cousins who used to live in Florida, they said that it's illegal to tie your dog up for that exact reason. Like, if you tie your dog up, you basically just baited your tree for the gator, right? The dogs, it's illegal to tie your dog up in Florida because basically they want your dog to have a chance to run away in case a gator gets them. And so Mariana says Disney World has its own fish farm at Epcot. So many fish in such a little space. And that is precisely it. That's exactly it. The water gets polluted very quickly when you've got all these fish doing their business in it. And so it's very hard when you've got that kind of density of fish in such a small place. It's hard to keep them healthy. It's hard, etc. I mean, it's an issue. And let's see here. Ashok is saying farmed fish generally also don't get optimal nutrition, and therefore neither do you. Yeah, I don't know about that, although I wouldn't be surprised. But I do know that they're really fed a lot of antibiotics to keep them from getting sick from one another because they're so close. And so, do you really want a fish that's been fed antibiotic mixtures just out of necessity? It's just, as eMusic said, read the packaging for sure. It does tell a lot of details. However, you kind of have to know how to read the package, and unfortunately, I'm not one to give you any instruction on that. But yeah, you definitely, the packaging definitely is helpful. And let's see here. Mariana, you recently in the news saw that a man's dog got snatched by an alligator, and he went in the water and got it. Very Florida man. I think I saw. Well, okay. First off, either it's happened more than once, or, which maybe it has, or I saw the video that you're talking about. I saw the dude who did it on. They talked to him on the news, and heck yeah, dude. Dude was insane. I'm not gonna say that anybody should do that. I'm not going to say that, oh yeah, that's what I would do, except for, oh yeah, that's probably what I would have done. Because I love my animals so much that they might as well. I truly understand why moms are just like, oh yeah, I can lift a car to get my kid out from under it. my animals are kind of like that for me. And so you end up doing stupid stuff and not even thinking about how stupid it is. But I absolutely could see myself jumping in and prying the jaws to get my dog back, and then climbing back onto the pond shore and just being like, oh my God, what did I just do? I totally, I don't recommend what that guy did, but I totally, I totally would have done it too. And so, Mariana, let me see. And right now, actually, a bunch of gators are being killed because a man got... See, this is why we can't have nice things. All right, let me start over. Mariana says, and right now, actually, a bunch of gators are being killed because a man got killed by going in a lake in the middle of the night. So sad. Dude, that is so wrong. I mean, I understand if there was like some wild gator that's going around eating people, then okay, fine. We need to kill a gator to make sure we got the, like, but dude went into the lion den, basically. We already talked about this a few streams ago, Mariana, how creepy crawly the Florida swamps and lakes and everything with the eyes glowing in the middle of the night. Nobody needs to go in the water after dark in Florida. Come on, man. That is just unfair. The gators are getting punished for something that the stupid human did. I mean, that was a stupid human decision, dude. That's a stupid human decision. And I don't mean to yell at you over it because you're not the one who made it. But come on, man. Ugh, that's frustrating. And it's shock. I won't even go into the water in the day in Florida. Yeah, I probably wouldn't go into a lot of any kind of lake or pond. I mean, maybe the beach. But as far as freshwater goes, I don't know if I'd go there. And Mariana, yeah, I absolutely refuse to swim in lakes. Right, exactly. I can appreciate that logic. And I would be right there with you. Or rather, we would not be right there together. It's like, yeah, we're not gonna go there. And shock, yeah, the squishy muddy bottoms of lakes are really gross. I don't swim in those kind of lakes. I only like lakes that are like gravel on the bottom, and they're few and far between. So lakes are definitely one of my least favorite bodies of water to be in. That being said, though, some of the Great Lakes, like, shoot, dude, they look like they've got sandy beaches. I mean, they honestly, if you didn't know that wasn't a saltwater beach, you wouldn't know. It just looks like a beach. So I guess maybe not like all lakes are gross and squishy. But a lot of lakes are gross and squishy. So and Maria, you worry about amoebas too? Yeah, especially in the warmer waters, because if they pass that whole brain-blood barrier or whatever, if they get up in your sinuses, it can, the water, it can cause some serious problems. In fact, that's actually an issue that isn't just a lake water issue. If you use a neti pot, you really shouldn't use your tap water because you can actually get a brain infection by the weird stuff that might be in your water that doesn't necessarily hurt your gut, but it's not, it's not good for your brain. And so, distilled water is actually what you need to use in your neti pot, just so all y'all know. And it's not just like a southern water issue. The water up here in the Puget Sound is very cold. In fact, it comes cold out of the tap. It's that cold. And even in water that is that cold, we have had cases of problematic water in a neti pot and having people get brain infections. It's not just a southern water thing. It's actually, and it really is everywhere. It's a risk. So unfortunately, Mariana, that thing that you're worried about, yeah, you should probably be worried about it. And let's see here. Shock says, we get cold water out of the cold tap in winter. and rather hot water out of the cold tap in summer. Right, yeah, exactly. I have no doubt in my mind. In fact, the reason why I bring this up is because having spent most of my life in the Puget Sound, hey Elaine, good to see you. We are talking about alligators and fish farming, and right now we're talking about the temperature of water when it comes out of your tap. And having grown up in the Puget Sound, the water, even in the middle of the summer, the water is cold coming out of the tap when it's cold water. So I went to Texas, and it was Austin, and I'm at her mom's house, and I'm sitting there. Okay, so sometimes the water doesn't come out cold in the summer in the Puget Sound because, like, if you've been running the hot water or whatever, you know, for the first couple seconds, the water's maybe lukewarm. So the water is coming out of the tap lukewarm, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, if I just let it run, it'll turn cold. And so I was letting it run and letting it run and letting it run. And finally my friend, and her mom was like looking at me like, why aren't you getting the water? And finally my friend was like, it's not going to get any colder. Like she understood what I was doing, right? And she's like, it's not going to get any colder. And I was like, oh, okay. You know, and so I got the water and then got ice out of the freezer. And her mom was like, what just happened here? So she had to explain to her mom in the north, the water actually comes out cold, which apparently doesn't happen everywhere. I had no idea. Let's see here. eMusic is saying, okay, so eMusic is saying squishy, muddy bottoms in Hawaii beach waters means that the area was formerly a fish pond. Molokai has a popular one. Yes, Molokai does. In fact, actually, well, I wouldn't be surprised if there's more than one, but I believe Lono lives on one of the fish ponds, one of the oldest, like older fish ponds, on Molokai. But yeah, I'm not at all surprised that former fish ponds have a different underlayer, than say traditional just beachfront that was always salt water as opposed to the brackish and the controlled flow. And Mariana, what am I drinking? Oh, I'm drinking my LaCroix, my pamplemousse, or pamplemousse, as I'm supposed to really say, but you know, I like to say pamplemousse because pamplemousse is funnier. All right, so let's see here. What do we have today? Oh, I know what we have today. Speaking of Lono and fish ponds and Molokai, I have one of Lono's new upload videos called Ain't the Mainland that I figured we could take a little break and just watch a little Lono video. So here we have it. Let's watch some Lono.
Okay, back. Go. Letting the old check. Way below local speed limit. We know like how fast we go ekahe, elua, ekolo, ha. Slow it down, brother. This ain't the mainland. Riding in the old check. Way below the local speed limit. We know like how fast we go ekahe, elua, ekolo, ha. The little grass shack, it's small but it's just enough. Now we plant la ao, ekahe, elua, ekolo, ha. All that luxury condos, brother, this ain't the mainland. We're putting up the little grass shack. It's small but it's just enough. Now we plant la ao, ekahe, elua, ekolo, ha. ain't the mainland. Na olelo o Hawaii, na huna o Hawaii, na mele o Hawaii, Noah, Gabby, Johnny, Candy. Ooh, yeah. Na olelo o Hawaii, na huna o Hawaii, na mele o Hawaii, Noah, Gabby, Johnny, Candy. Forget Israel and Skippy. Carl Street.
Oh, serio, no, serio.
All right, there we have it. That was our little Lono break for today. And let's see here. Speaking of, let's see, what am I trying to talk about? Speaking of Hawaiian musicians, we got to watch a great movie that Shock hosted a few weeks ago about Sam Leah. And Sam Leah is one of the only fiddle players in Hawaiian music. It would seem. I'm sure there are some that we don't know about, but Sam Leah, he is one of the founders of the traditional Hawaiian style music that we are used to these days, and he actually wrote the song Hi'ilave, which is a classic Hawaiian tune. Lono has several versions of it. Gabby Panui recorded some versions of it. Sonny Chillingworth recorded some versions of it. I have no idea who else has recorded versions of Hi'ilave, but if you Google Hi'ilave, you will find a quadrillion versions of it. And so you think Sam Leah's dad wrote it, not him? I feel like I read that he wrote it, but I also feel like I don't know what I'm talking about, so we'll say that it was Sam's dad that wrote it. Okay. Either way, Sam has direct lineage to that song, shall we say. And there is a video out from him that was put out by the Legacy Foundation, and you can actually get this video that Shock played for us a few weeks ago. And this, you can get it on Amazon. This is the cover of the DVD, I guess. And so it's a great movie to watch. You learn a whole bunch. But one of the neat little things that I noticed about this particular movie was Sam was obviously a bit of a hobo, as it were. He went traveling and this, that, and the other thing, and he made a quilt for his wife. And this is a piece of the back of the quilt. And it's a detail shot that Shock got for me. And I'm super, super grateful. And so as you can see, you can recognize that he's got, the little stick with his pack, the little hobo stick. And you see all of these little symbols and words surrounding this hobo stick, right? And it's like, well, what does that mean? Well, you guys, those are what are known as Hobo Code. And so these types of symbols across the nation, hobos, folks who traveled the railways from one job to the next, they would use chalk or charcoal to leave messages for other hobos who are in the area. And so you can see these symbols are very, so you've got your halt symbol, you got your safe symbol, you got your be quiet symbol, and then the finger is covering up a large triangle with 3 little triangles, and that means tell a pitiful story. Oh, okay. So Mariana, what movie is this? It's called Leah, and a documentary by Eddie and Myrna Kamei. I don't remember how to spell it or say his name, and it's The Legacy of a Hawaiian Man. I guess is the title. Leah, The Legacy of a Hawaiian Man. There you have it. And you can get it on Amazon. So there you have it. And so Mariana, you already know about the Kamai. There we go. Thought so, but I couldn't remember. I always second guess myself. So yeah, Eddie Kamai, he and his wife put this movie together. They've got actually a huge project of more than just this, but this is one part of their legacy project, and I definitely encourage you to watch it. I'm going to be buying this DVD, even though I think maybe one of the only places you can buy it is on Amazon. I'm not a fan of Amazon. Doesn't matter. I'm going to be buying it because I really want it that badly. But back to the hobo symbols, right? So even though Sam was on Hawaii Island, or excuse me, the Hawaiian Islands, he was on various islands, I believe, the hobo symbols still made their way to the islands, because this is a summary of a lot of the most common hobo symbols that you can find. And as you can see, there's some of them that were actually on that quilt. For instance, on the first line, the middle of the very first line, so like the top line, the 5th one with those 2 diamonds that are touching each other, means keep quiet. Well, oops, hold on. Well, that's exactly what is on that quilt, right? And so then you've got let's see, another one that was similar. So just underneath the keep quiet, you see that large triangle with the 3 small triangles. Now you'll also see that there's a woman there. And so when the woman is there, it says, "Kind woman lives here, tell a pitiful story." Well, on the blanket, it didn't have the woman part. So I guess maybe a kind woman doesn't live there. But look at that symbol. See? Larger triangle, finger covering the smaller ones. And what does it say? It says, "Tell a pitiful story." Right? So let's see here. And then you've got the halt sign, which it's the second line from the bottom, 2 to the right from the kitty cat. You've got the same halt sign that you find on that particular blanket. See where it says halt, and it's got that weird sort of question mark looking thing or whatever. And so as you can see, these symbols were very useful. Some of these symbols obviously are super important. As you can see on the very first line near the far right, you've got a little cross with a circle, and it says, "Doctor here won't charge." That's fantastic. And then on the next one down, not the last one in line, but the second to last one, it's a square with a black dot and then some what looks like water, and it says "bad water." So also something that you definitely want to let your fellow traveler who's going to come up next know. And then right below the bad water, not right below not the next line down, but the line below that, it's sort of the opposite of the bad water symbol. It's the water on top with an X and then 2 O's, freshwater, safe campsite. So, these are absolutely important little notes to leave your the folks that are coming through town. And I think it's really funny. If you haven't already noticed it, there is a stick figure of a cat in the Hobo Code. And I'll let you find the stick figure of the cat, and can you see what that symbol means? So, crazy cat ladies apparently are not a new thing. And apparently crazy cat ladies have been known to be kind, because the cat is a symbol for a kind lady lives here. And frankly, I thought that was hysterical. So yeah. Thanks so much for putting up that link there, Shock. That especially means I won't have to use Amazon. I can just get it directly from the Hawaiian Legacy Foundation. Super awesome. Super, super awesome. And yeah, so when we were watching that movie, I was like, holy crumb, are those actually for real Hobo Codes? And as it turns out, yes, indeedy, they were. And Shock, you can't get it on Amazon anyway? Really? Because when I did the Google for it, it was only Amazon stuff that came up. So that's weird. I mean, I didn't try to buy it, but I can tell you that, hold on, let's see here. What am I doing? Here we go. I can tell you that this picture right here, I stole that right off of the Amazon webpage. Like that, that was taken directly off of an Amazon link. And so that is so funny. So you looked and it wasn't available. You had to order it from Legacy. Odd. Well, I wonder if that's changed in like the week that you tried to get it. So yeah, I don't know. But like I said, I didn't try to get it from Amazon. I just stole a picture from them, and which is why I assumed they had it. So, but yeah, exactly. No matter, order it from Legacy. Exactly, you guys order it from the link that Shock just dropped in the chat, because that is directly from the foundation that produced the movie. So there's no need to get a middleman involved if you don't want to. And Shock, you're thinking you might order some more docs and run them. That would be super awesome. I mean, I'm a fan of documentaries, so obviously I'm biased in this particular situation. But yeah, you have a vote for me, or no, not a vote for me. I'm voting. My vote is for documentaries. That's what I'm trying to say. Yes, sirree. Yeah. So, okay. So I just want to talk about Hobo Codes for a little bit because I thought it was super cute. And I'm so glad that Mariana actually knew what the flying fork I was talking about, because when I mentioned it in the chat when Shock was showing the video, not very many people knew what I was talking about. A couple people totally knew what I was talking about, but a lot of people were just like, Hobo Codes? What in the flying fork are you even... What do those words mean when you put them together? So that's what those words meant when you put them together. And so I'm wondering though, Shock, so you say you might order some more documentaries and run them. I haven't gone to that Legacy website yet, so obviously I don't know. But who else do they have documentaries on? I'm very curious to know who we might be learning about in the future, as it were. By the way, folks, I will be putting links to all of these things that we're talking about in the description when I post this to YouTube. And by the way, I want to thank everybody who watches the reruns of this stream on YouTube. It turns out there are plenty of people who might not be available for the live stream who still enjoy hearing where the chatter scatters in the after time. And so thank you guys so much for watching it. And if you want, you can hit the little like and subscribe button for those YouTubers who are watching this later on. And let's see here. Shock is saying more general history type things, Voices of Hawaii, etc. Okay, all right, cool. So it's not like they don't have like, it sounds like they've got more than just like individuals that they do. Okay, so one on Slack Key, one on the Forest. Oh, cool, yeah, do that. Oh, cool, yeah, do those. Here I am spending your money for you. Yeah, do those. and a bunch of Sons of Hawaii. Yeah, not at all surprised about that. Not at all surprised about that. Speaking of Sons of Hawaii, by the way, in that Lono video that we just watched, This Ain't the Mainland, he mentions Skippy. Now, I don't know if you guys know who Skippy is, but apparently Skippy is the older brother of Iz. So it's Skippy Kamaka Viva Ole is who he's referring to, and he basically is the storyteller of the Makaha Sons of Ni'ihau group, as it were. Sons of Hawaii made my brain scatter in that direction. So if you were wondering, who is Lono referencing when he's talking about Skippy in the middle of that song? He's talking about Iz's older brother. And I know this because right after I saw that video, I emailed Lono and was like, who's Skippy? And so he told me, and now I told you. And on the Sons of Hawaii little theme, we all know that that we are fans of a Son of Hawaii, and that would be Andy Bumatai. Andy Bumatai, in case you don't know, he hosts every Tuesday and Thursday a show called The Daily Pigeon on Twitch, and he also streams it on Facebook. He streams it on YouTube. He streams it on Twitter, and he streams it on LinkedIn, because you can stream things on Twitter and LinkedIn, apparently. And he's going to be taking June off, but if you can join him in July, that is where we like to hang out. Andy Bumatai has a long career in entertainment in Hawaii. Stand-up comedian, television show host, talk show host, and now live stream host. But we're going to go back in time a little bit, and I'm going to show you a clip that perfectly intersects Andy's past life and my past life. And I'll bet you'll be able to figure it out as soon as you see it. So, I would like to present to you a blast from the past from Andy Bumatai.
That's greater than gold. Crazy about you, baby. You got so much soul. Got the kind of loving.
Hey, we're on television. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Nighttime, and we're going to start this show off with a bang. And I'm telling you, we got some gals here who are on a mission to bring roller derby back to Hawaii. Good news for a lot of people. Please help me welcome the Pacific Roller Derby gals. There they are. Hey, how are you? Please join us. There they are. Oh, man. Oh, this brought the whole team. Your name?
Ding, ding.
Hold on, we'll let the music stop and then I'll ask you again. I'm sorry?
Ding, ding, ding.
Your
That's
name
my
is,
name.
Your
We
name
have
is
skate
Ding Ding Ding?
Yes.
I can't call you that.
Call me Ding.
Just,
That's all right.
how about D?
He is
Ding
cool.
Ding Ding. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, Ding Ding Ding. But that's part of the roller derby thing. Everyone has interesting names. Maybe you could introduce your crew there. Let's see what kind of names we got going.
This is our head coach, Serenity Slayer.
Serenity Slayer.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's Gypsy Pickles right there. And that's Cookie Cutter at the end.
Okay. I'm starting to get into the theme of things. Now, tell us a little bit about roller derby. Is it like we're a football team where there are other roller derby teams that would come to Hawaii? Fill us in a little.
There is roller derby all across the nation. Even in Ireland and Japan, there's roller derby. And we have skaters coming here to teach us.
Okay.
Unfortunately, we don't have a team here none of us have played before.
This whole team is...
None of us have played roller derby before.
Well, I saw We Are Marshall. You got a shot.
Yes, right. We play against each other now. We have two teams, and we skate around. We're fully padded, knee pads, elbow pads, mouth guard, and helmet.
Wow.
And we skate the hell out of each other.
Now, what would it take to become a full-fledged team and, in fact, compete with some of these other...
We need to get way better at skating.
Okay.
And there's a WFTDA, Women's Flat Track Derby Association, which is most of the leagues on the mainland. And And once we get up to their level, we'll be able to skate with the mainland teams.
Well, how can the general public, I mean, even if it's just come down and watch you practice, how can that happen?
Well, right now we practice at Kaneohe Marine Corps Base, and we, well, it's closed base, but we do have a list. If they email us, they could come and watch practice.
Where can they email you?
At info@pacificrollerderby.com.
Easy enough.
And we also have a few events coming up. We have fundraisers on the 22nd at Tio's.
At where, I'm sorry?
Tio's, the old Dixie Grill.
Oh, okay.
And on the 29th, we're having a big fundraiser at Anna Bananas.
There you
5
go.
bands for $5.
Okay, let me ask you this, though. Now, and pardon, you know, I'll just say it, is it like professional wrestling where it's a lot of show and and some hitting? I mean, or are you guys out there banging on each other for real?
We are beating the hell out of each other.
Wow.
We're constantly. It
used to be kind of more of a show.
It used to be a show.
Yeah.
If you remember 20, 30 years ago, there was
sure.
roller derby in Hawaii.
I went to see it at the old wooden stadium. I'm
Yes,
old enough to
exactly.
have seen it there.
And it was more of a show then. Now we're more athletes. We're skating hard. We're getting the injuries. We're hurting each other. And it's fun. It's the most fun thing I've ever done.
Oh my God, look how much she loves it. And it's fun.
Yes.
Now tell me about that. Is this pretty much what you wear? Or do you have the costume?
This is
the
pretty
uniform,
much
I guess. I'm sorry.
Yeah, a lot of it is looking good while you're skating.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
I got to tell you, what we've seen here, you got some fans in the band for sure.
Super fans.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, now how much, further do you have to go before you get to that status? I mean, do you need, I know these fundraisers, Anna Bananas, and...
Well, we're actually having the fundraisers so we can go to Vegas. They're having a roller derby convention, RollerCon, this summer. So we're trying to raise money to represent Hawaii in Vegas against all the other teams, and we want to compete against them there. And Hawaii hasn't had a team in a really long time, and we're really excited to go represent.
Is info at
PacificRollerDerby.com.
where someone would go if they wanted to join the league?
Yes, definitely. We're always looking for new skaters.
Yeah.
Any skill level. Anybody can come join as long as you're passionate about roller derby.
And when you show up, tell them, ding, 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 send you.
Yes.
You saw it on Nighttime. Well, I tell you what, girls, good luck to you. And once you get it together and you have games, please come back and let us know how it's going.
Oh,
Okay?
no, definitely.
Ladies and gentlemen, the gals from Pacific Roller Derby, ding, 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 and her friends. We'll be right back with more of Nighttime. And Angela Crandall, jazz artist, will be returned. Come on up, girls. Skate around a little bit.
All right, that was the fun little blast from the past. Let me make sure I'm not muted. All right, excellent. I think I'm okay. And so, yes, now that video took place probably in like 2007, 2008, when roller derby was still, when flat track roller derby was still quite new to the scene and just starting its resurgence. Now, as it turns out, there are now plenty teams of roller derby on the Hawaiian Islands, and we've got one. Basically, each island for the most part has its own team. And when I say each island, I mean the bigger islands. There is no roller derby team on Molokai, as far as I know. There's no roller derby team on Lanai, as far as I know. But we definitely have the Pacific Roller Derby, which is who was on the show just now, and they're from obviously Oahu. Now, Paradise Roller Girls is who I have worked with the most. I know I have several friends who are officials for Paradise Roller Girls. All of my roller derby connection in the Hawaiian Islands is via the Paradise Roller Girls, and they are located and based out of Hilo. And let's see here. And then Maui has, as far as I'm concerned, Maui has the coolest logo of all of the roller derby girls on the island. And by the way, I have a very bad habit of referring to them as roller derby girls or roller girls. That is how the sport first started out, but it has expanded into co-ed and to men's derby, and a lot of leagues have expanded their membership to include men as well as women. So when I say roller girls, I actually am using a very old-fashioned term. I should not be saying that, and I do apologize for everybody who might know better, know that I should be saying roller derby is basically what, and these Maui roller girls are flat track roller derby. And then we've got the Garden Island Renegade Rollers, and that is obviously from Kauai. And Kauai, I have to say, I really do enjoy their logo as well, but not quite as much as I enjoy the Maui one, because I really like that roller slipper. I think it's flippin' awesome. And so, yeah. So that is the little, let's see here. I had something else I was going to show, but I guess I forgot to do it. So hold on. Let's see if I can find it here. Here we go. All right. So we, all of those leagues belong to, and Pacific Roller Girls mentioned this in the interview with Andy. All of them belong to the Women's Flat Track Derby Association, and this is the Women's Flat Track Derby Association homepage, wftda.org. If you're interested in learning more about local roller derby, my best guess is almost anywhere in the world, you will find a roller derby team within an hour or two of where you're at. As you can see on this front page, WFTDA, Women's Flat Track Derby Association releases their first Chinese translation of the rules of flat track roller derby. So when I say anywhere in the world, I really do mean anywhere in the world. We have the number one team in the world right now actually comes from Australia. And then we've got in the top 10, we've got teams from Finland, we've got teams from Canada, we've got teams from the United States, obviously. In the men's roller derby world, the UK is huge. And so I got to tell you, man, roller derby is quite honestly, everywhere. And so, is there any in Manitoba? I believe there is. I will have to get back to you on that. Although, if you go to wftda.org and did a search in the leagues, you can do a search for leagues by either name or area, and you should be able to find one. But I am 90% sure. I really feel like I've seen. I feel like Manitoba had a team come to a tournament I worked at. But I might be making that up. But I don't think I am. I'm like totally 97% sure. Totally 97% sure. I'm really sure that Manitoba does have one. And so I will be getting back to you on that, because I'm curious. Does Manitoba have one? Pretty sure they do. So yeah, that is the situation with roller derby. Now, as we all know, life kind of stopped for the last 2 years. And roller derby, being a full contact sport, had to also shut down for the last couple of years. But it is slowly coming back to work. I happen to know that on, I think it was May 22nd of this year, Pacific Roller Derby, the ones that were on the Andy show, they actually did have an event. They did have a bout that they skated. So I know that at least Pacific is getting back on track. I know that this weekend I've been invited to go announce for a couple different teams. My weekend's packed. I cannot. But I know that local leagues in the Puget Sound area are obviously getting back into the swing of things. Just last weekend in Central Washington, one of my derby friends, Chuck Hollywood Chuck Berry, he owns a roller rink in Central Washington, and he just had a tournament had people from Canada and the United States coming to play in it. So roller derby is absolutely starting slowly but surely back up again. And Shock decided to get all factual, etc. And it looks like there are 6 teams in Manitoba, according to derbylisting.com. That doesn't surprise me at all. And so, because here's the thing, teams, you only need like, I don't know, I think like 10 or so people to form a team. And so when it comes to places like Manitoba, where sure, the teams might not be large, but the cities are so far apart that even though it might behoove them to to come together to form a larger group with a larger number of players, just the space between cities makes that not possible. And so I'm not at all surprised that there's quite a few in Manitoba at all. And so that makes me super excited that you are all about it there, JBCP13. It is a super fun sport to get into, even if just watching. And here's the deal. Sorry, I was reading what Shock just said and I got distracted. So if you do decide to go to a roller derby event, what you probably want to do is sit next to somebody who clearly knows what's going on. Like, oh, they're wearing a team, t-shirt and they've got whatever. Go sit next to them and then ask them, seriously, if you say this to somebody, they will probably love you forever. If you ask them, can you talk derby to me? Talk derby. Can you talk derby to me? You will have a best friend for the rest of the show, or for the rest of the event. They will tell you everything that's going on. They'll be like, oh, do you see how? Do you see why? They will explain in minutia. You'll be so sorry you asked them to talk derby to you. But yeah, seriously, I really, really, really encourage you to talk to someone who knows what they're talking about, because they will fill you in so flippin' quick. They will fill you in. And so, hey, Love Pat, good to see you. We are talking about roller derby at the moment. We just watched a video from Andy Bumatai back in the day, interviewing the Oahu Roller Derby League called Pacific Roller Derby. And so now we're just wondering all the different places that roller derby might exist. And I believe, if I remember correctly, Love Pat, you are Vegas. And let me tell you, Las Vegas absolutely has a roller derby. I have a thing that I probably should have brought out. I have as an official, I used to have to carry around these whiteboards, like chalkboards, but whiteboards. We no longer use them in roller derby, but we used to need them for things. And my whiteboard carriers are covered in stickers from roller derby leagues from all over the world. And I have to say, the Las Vegas roller derby girls have some of the best stickers, because they're like big band-aids. So they're like a bumper sticker that looks like a band-aid, and then it advertises. It's honestly the Las Vegas, I can't remember what their league is called or what their teams are called, but absolutely love their sticker. And Shock, you were saying 2 in Winnipeg, but it's not clear to me what the league refers to. Well, the teams, so like, obviously I don't know what is going on in Winnipeg, but the teams basically are, form the league. And so like Rat City Roller Girls, they're not Roller Girls anymore, Rat City Roller Derby, they have 4 teams for their women's units. Those teams are the Throttle Rockets, the Socket Wenches, Derby Liberation Front, and one other one. So oftentimes what happens is all right, let's start over. So within the league, you've got like multiple teams, right? And those teams play against each other for the local stuff. But then when it comes to like the big deal stuff, the worldwide ranking stuff, those teams are generally named after the league that they skate for. So Rat City Roller Derby actually is both a league and a team. Rat City Roller Derby is the league, and then the team that skates for international rankings is Rat City Roller Derby. And Rat City Roller Derby teammates are created from the 4 home teams that make up the league for Rat City. All right, so now that that's clear as mud, it's about time to wrap things up. And so let's see here. Oh, Shock, you're saying the 2 Winnipeg leagues you clickenized had defunct websites. I'm not surprised, because the last 2 years for roller derby have been particularly difficult and brutal, and not all the leagues survived. Plain and simple. But I do know that Pacific Roller Derby, the team off of Oahu that Andy interviewed earlier today, that the video clip that I showed earlier, they are still functional. I know that Paradise is still functional. I will go on a bit of a rabbit hole dive to see if I can find out a little bit more about the Winnipeg peeps and the overall Manitoba scene, and I will definitely get back to you on that. And Mariana, what album can you find Old Makena Road on? I believe, off the top of my head, you can find it on 2 of the albums. You can find it either on Radio Kihei, or you can find it on Maui Looks Beautiful from Molokai. I personally can't tell you which album is better. They're both different. They both share a lot of songs. But I kind of like listening to Radio Kihei better, because Lono has created little fake commercials between the songs, because it's the CD is modeled after a radio show, and I feel like it's just a funner album. Both are good, so I'm not going to tell you which one to get, but I kind of prefer listening to Radio Kihei because it makes me laugh. So there you have it. And eMusic, thank you so much for hanging out. Thank you so much for, here we go, for all of the things, all of the random things that are super awesome. Thank everybody so much for hanging out today and chitter-chattering. This was a much less stressful show than other shows that we will not speak of, but I hope to see you on Saturday. We're going to watch a movie called, I believe we're going to watch What We Do in the Shadows, which is a comedy movie out of Australia. I have not seen it. I've been told that it is based on a television show that's really funny. So I'm hoping that it's really funny. So I hope to see you guys at Statterbox at the cinema on Saturday. And if not, I hope to see you on Sunday at Chatter with Statter, because that's going to be the last official show before or while I'm in Oahu. I will be live streaming from Oahu at random times. I have no idea if Twitch will notify you. It will be on Twitch. But I will be live streaming when I'm in Oahu. However, it's not going to be at the usual times that we're used to for Chatter with Statter. So hopefully I'll get to hang out with you guys when I'm in Oahu. If not, I hope to hang out with you Saturday and Sunday. All right, you guys, take care.